Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode of the Nancy Kay Coy Show. This is where we slow conversations down and we talk honestly about health, business, and the decisions that shape how we live and how we lead. Today, I'm joined by Kristina Gonzalez of Pristine Hormones and Weight Loss here in Reno, Nevada. Kristina works with women who often walk in her practice saying one simple but powerful sentence: I don't feel like myself anymore. And I'll bet many of you can relate to that. Instead of dismissing that feeling or chasing the symptoms, Kristina helps women understand what's actually happening in their bodies and how to address it responsibly. This conversation is educational, it's grounded, and it's going to be real. And it's not medical advice, it's not personal advice. It's just for your clarity and to give you some perspective. And I have notes here because we have some really great questions to go over. Kristina, I'm really glad you're here. Thank you for joining me today.
Nancy, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm so happy to talk about two of my favorite topics, hormones and weight. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think most of the people that are listening in, those are what a lot of us are
Yeah.
really asking ourselves. So let's dive in here. I don't feel like myself. So who do you serve most? And what do women typically say to you when they first reach out to you?
Yeah. So I mainly work with women from ages 30 to 60 in this perimenopause, menopause stage when they start noticing and they're coming to me. They're like, Kristina, I can't sleep anymore. I'm anxious. My relationships are not the same with my children. I lash out and angry at them, have no patience with my partner. The libido is changing. And they're like, I just don't feel myself. My memory. I can't find the most common words that I need to look up on the internet. How do you call this and that? So they are busy women. They're at the top of their careers, have to do presentations in front of the groups, and they cannot come up with the most common word. They feel embarrassed and they want to be heard and listened. And they come to me and they're like, I went to see my primary, my OBGYN, and they say you're fine, your labs look fine. So they feel dismissed. They want to be heard because they know that's not how they were 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. So they're looking for answers.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that so many women really can relate to all of those things, right? Because your body is just changing so much. So when a woman says to you, I don't feel like myself, what are the top five symptoms that you hear most often?
Yeah. So I feel like I mentioned the big one is the memory, like losing the words, the most common. And like I said, a lot of us are at the top of careers in this 40s and 50s and just not able to recall the names, why I came here, to follow up through their calendars. I would say the big one is this memory. And of course, it comes with the moods and anger. Ability to manage the depression and anxiety, and especially in perimenopausal time when the hormones are still up and down all the time. 1 month they're depressed and they're like, I cannot get out of the bed. Next month they feel great and they don't understand why and get confused. So I would say these are the big ones. And the next one would be sleep, like I said, and I feel like they're all intertwined. When we cannot sleep, the moods and the memory, they all get affected, and we don't feel ourselves as well. So sleep is the big one. And really, we will talk probably later about the hormones. It's as even at mid 30s, we start losing progesterone, and that's what really helps us with sleep. And then uh, most of the time in primary care, that's when we put people on sleep medicines, and it's really just the biology that is changing in our body that we could balance back up to get back to the sleep. The other one, I would say definitely the weight gain, especially around the abdomen as the hormones shift, and
Mhm.
women and men as well start doing extensive exercises and dieting, and they're still not able to lose weight. So it's a struggle. It's physical, emotional, mental struggle, and it's just like really That's why when I meet women, we talk, it's really just the physiology is changing and we need to put you in balance, and all those things will get so much easier to achieve. Um, the other one is also the relationships as and the libido. The women just kind of mentioned that they just don't feel themselves. They, even if they just don't have a desire, or if they desire, their body doesn't respond, and that really affects their relationship. They really push themselves to for show up there. So I would say that from the moods to weights, anxiety, libido, those are the big ones that I would mention.
Yeah, I've heard so many women say exactly those same things, and they say, gosh, I don't know what's going on. So what do
Mhm.
women usually blame, what do they usually blame this on first, and what's often really happening underneath?
Yeah, I would say really a lot of times we blame, we are busy, we have kids, they're after school activities, so we just kind of blame, I'm just too busy. I don't have time for myself. I didn't sleep because I had all these projects that stay up late at night. Also, of course, depending how young, in what age they are, correct? They sometimes they think, oh, it's just part of aging. It's just my parents went through that. I'm going through that. It's just normal aging. So they kind of, I don't want to dismiss, but kind of decide to live with it. The life as it goes, they take with it, push through, like through the symptoms and through the day, and take it as a normal me, part of getting older a lot of times. Um, I would
God,
say that's probably the big ones.
yeah, yeah, that sounds so realistic. So
Hmm.
right, and I think I think I know you're right that so many women have said, oh, my mom went through
Hmm.
really a hard menopause, and I'm dealing with it just like she did, right? And they just think that that's what they have to live like. So what's one thing you wish women would stop telling themselves about this season in their life?
I just wish they did not necessarily normalize it and think they have to do it, or, have to deal with this. There is so many things we can do. We can test, we can see if what's abnormal, like replace it, not normalize it. Don't suffer quietly at home in their bedrooms. You know, go get help, seek for like anywhere, like we'll look for a mentor, somebody to speak through, explain to, look for an expert to talk it through. Look for help, don't suffer, I would say, quietly.
That's fantastic advice, because I think you're so right that what people do is they just feel like this is life and this is what I've got to live with, and I just continue to go through it. And yeah,
Hmm.
such an important topic. So so because so many women assume that this is just something they have to push through,
Hmm.
like normal labs, like,
Hmm.
because I think so many women have gone through that. They go to the, like you said, they go to their primary care doctor, then they go
Hmm.
have the lab work done,
Hmm.
and they look normal. So why are normal labs not enough?
Yeah. Well, really, the normal labs, the way they are set up is just to diagnose a disease, to see, okay, if we kind of fall out the parameters, the top of the bottom is like, okay, then, okay, we have a diagnosis that we could code. But really, it doesn't mean that this is the optimal level of where your body has enough, let's say, we could think nutrients or those hormones to support your metabolisms, to support your brain and the bone health and the heart health. Like sometimes I talk in office, like anything minimum, think of money, you can survive, but that's, you kind of see where should I allocate the money first, right? Like another analogy, thinking of the shoe size, right? If you are 7.5, 8 could fit, 6 could fit, but 7.5 it feels the best, right? So it's the same thing in our health. The normal ranges look if you have illness or not, but really we can optimize the levels where we know you will feel more energized, you will sleep better, your thyroid function will work better, so you do not have to fight the weight so hard. So I know it's my personal experience as well. They say labs are normal and we get dismissed. But if we have symptoms, they're telling something is happening. It's a signal that something is changing, and maybe we're just not looking at the right lab, not asking the right question. Because if we have the symptoms, something is changing and we just need to find it. And just because the lab says normal, we don't dismiss the symptoms, I would say.
Yeah, and so you kind of call those, like, I guess maybe silent drivers, right? Because and that can be like, I guess you would be looking for what, like stress hormones, like insulin patterns, thyroid, maybe inflammation,
Exactly.
because and that doesn't always come up on a normal
Exactly.
lab, right? I mean,
I would say thyroid is a great example. We often in primaries, they just check your TSH, but all it really shows is what is your brain sending signal to the thyroid. Um, but if we don't test like free T3, which is our active form, or even reverse T3, we miss such a big picture of the thyroid because sometimes if we lack certain nutrients like iodine, selenium, we don't convert T4, which is not as active form, to T3. But if we don't test it, we don't look at it, well, TSH looks normal, we dismiss, but we don't see the other picture. Maybe the woman is not converting it, or men as well. The other one, reverse T3, that's sometimes we, especially when we are really stressed and the body's like, I cannot handle so much stress. I need to pause this metabolism. And it starts converting your free T3 to reverse T3 in the back till you're dealing this, and then releases for the energy. So if we don't test other parts, we probably missing a lot of information that could explain the symptoms. And then kind of goes the same as I said, if we don't test selenium or like the iodine, we deficient on certain vitamins. Again, we're missing the whole picture. That's why in my practice, we always test adrenal glands, because if we don't, with this so much stress daily, right? Adrenal fatigue is one of the names. They say it's not ideal, but a lot of people understand it. We just overdo the adrenal glands, at the cortisol. We don't have this perfect drive in the morning to have energy and to have it calm down at night so we could relax and go sleep. So in my practice, I always test the 4-point cortisol levels to see if you are following a normal uh, um, line. And then, they all hormones work together, adrenals, thyroid, and even just thinking the same symptom of, let's say, insomnia. It could be your thyroid, it could be your adrenal glands, it could be your lack of progesterone. So it's kind of like, what questions did we like? What lab did we test? Did we miss another piece of it?
and that's not always in a blood test, right? I mean, there's a saliva test, there's all different types of tests that you can do, right?
Exactly. We do blood spots, we do saliva. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
because I think that's, I think a lot of people just think that the blood test is going to be the answer, and so
Mhm.
many women have been so dismissed when, like I said, thyroid is one thing that I can think of right away, and inflammation, and again, just those aren't going to probably come up on a standard blood panel. So
Mhm.
then you get them back, and it really is so frustrating. I
Mhm.
believe because he comes back and it says you're fine, but
Mhm.
you're not. So for women listening right now who really feel dismissed, what would you want her to hear right now?
I would say, do not give up. Look for a practitioner that could hear you, who has open-minded. Seek for assistance. Like I said, don't uh, struggle in silence. Look for like a practitioner. There is so much we can do, and maybe we just need to look somebody who's trained more a little bit functional medicine, Western medicine. That's what I like to combine together. Just look for somebody who will hear you and be able to help you.
But you just said something I think that's critical is let somebody who will hear you. And in today's busy environment in healthcare, it's providers are seeing so many patients,
Mhm.
and they're just you're seeing so many patients so quickly that
Mhm.
what you just said is so pivotal, because hearing is such a big part
Ex-
of the evaluation. So it's not that women are failing, it's that the full picture really hasn't been evaluated.
Exactly. Yeah. In my practice, we spend most of the time at least 2 hours talking of different things, like our hormones are so intertwined, like from diet, from exercise. Are we exposed to toxins? As the women have a bowel moon every day? All of those things are important, right? So we have to look at the full picture, not just a few lab markers.
Which is great. So let's slow this down for just a minute and let's make hormones really understandable, because they're talked about constantly, but they're rarely really explained. I think a lot of people don't really, you hear hormones and it's kind of a sort of a big picture. So can you really explain estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and really in plain English that each and how it impacts most?
Yeah, so our progesterone, that's our like calming, stabilizing hormone. It really starts going down, one of the first ones, and actually in mid 30s, and that's when we start like seeing really that anxiety show up, the lack of not able to sleep. So, you know, those would be kind of the big ones, like stabilize. Estrogen is our hormone, like connection, vitality. It protects our brain. We make some estrogen in our brain, so it protects from our memory, from, even we have studies like protecting from Alzheimer's, our bone health, right? When the first 8 years, when the estrogen tanks, like we can see the woman bone health, the osteoporosis show up, cardiovascular protected. We really have like 300 different receptors, functions of the estrogen, progesterone in the body, that does various functions, right? And I feel like a lot of times, if we go to OBGYN, even if they give us estrogen, they deny progesterone to women, because a lot of times we think it's only for uterine protection, because estrogen is really the hormone that makes our uterus grow. It's all about the preparing for the baby, and then progesterone comes in and sheds it out. So we have the cycle every month. So let's say a woman had a hysterectomy, and then we're like, oh, okay, then you don't need a progesterone, which is really far from the truth, because we, like I said, it has so many different other functions. So we always want to make sure women are on both of those hormones to protect brain, heart, lungs, vaginal tissue. The big one is, like, as we get older, incontinence, painful intercourse, bleeding, tearing, prolapse of uterine. It's all because we lose the like estrogen in replacing it. We could prevent so much suffering for women. Testosterone, I would say that a lot of women think about as a libido, which is true, but it also does support our this executive function, the mental well-being. That this is really the one would explain. I just don't feel like myself anymore. Being so, I would say this confidence. It also affects our muscle tone. So has, again, multitude of functions. Just to keep it short. I feel another hormone that a lot of times is not thought about, dismissed, is oxytocin. Oxytocin is also, we often think as giving a birth, right? But it's our loving, cuddling hormone. And especially for us women, especially in relationship with husbands and libido, when it goes down, it also goes down as we get older. We need the connection to show up for there. And often when we can give women some oxytocin, they have lovely, huggy, connecty to not just the husband, but the children too. That's our, like, a love hormone. Often that one gets dismissed a lot as well.
Wow. I've never even heard of that one. So thank you for explaining that.
Mhm.
And it really is interesting, because like you said, there's a lot going on
Yes.
and a lot of different functionality that in our bodies that are so effective like this. So
Mhm.
can you explain perimenopause and why does it catch so many women off guard?
Mhm. Well, perimenopause is really everybody starts somewhat different, but really often it starts actually in our second part of 30s. So it really starts shifting of the hormones. So as I said earlier, before the progesterone starts going down, it's the first one, like stank. Then I always show the graphs to every patient that they come in, how we talk. Then estrogen goes up and down. It's very volatile. 1 month we're high, one is low, and that's exactly special in perimenopause why your hormone labs might look perfectly normal, but because we caught you at the top of on the peak, and next month you might be depressed, no energy, angry because now it's down. So perimenopause is like when already hormones like average age is 52, they're just low. It's actually sometimes even easier to treat it because we know we don't have it, we just replace it and make you feel better. Perimenopause is like one of the difficult one because the hormones up and down every month. Uh, we start changing. The periods are getting shorter, more clotting. They just don't feel the bloating, starting to gain weight in abdomen, can't sleep, anxious. Uh, Testosterone as well slowly kind of tapering down. But I would say in perimenopause, the big one is the progesterone as well as testosterone uh, coming down starting in 30s.
Wow. Wow. And so what tends to really like show up first? Is it the weight gain? Is it the brain fog? Is it all of it together? Or do you just start seeing what do you see? What do you kind of see first?
I would say they probably all show up slowly, in terms of like together. I would probably say insomnia, anxiety would be the first ones.
Oh, really?
That the women would mention to me, yes, lack of sleep, but like muscle tone is changing. Of course, we start noticing the skin changes, the wrinkles. How many women as early started to looking for Botox and fillers, and really it's because we're losing the hormones. Sometimes if we can balance, we even have hormones we can put on the face, like some estrogen to help with the tone and the wrinkles. uh, but they all kind of come slowly. But I would say probably the sleep and anxiety would be the big ones.
Really? So let me make sure I caught that. Did you
Hmm.
actually say you can put estrogen on your face?
Yes, yes, we
Wow,
do have
I have
different.
no idea.
Yes, we can put it on the face. We have just a different concentration and a different base. We have the compounding pharmacies. They can mix with some peptides, different concentration of estradiol. Yes, and even some progesterone. I would not recommend putting testosterone on the face because we wouldn't want put like a facial hair or something.
Yeah.
But yes, estrogen, yes.
Wow. That's
What's next?
really interesting. That's really
Mhm.
interesting. So what are the biggest myths you wish women would stop believing about menopause and weight?
Mm. I would say the big ones that it's just a part of aging. I think a lot of times we don't even think of the it's as a hormones that could be contributing to the weight gain. A lot of times women keep saying feel guilty about their habits. I'm not exercising enough. I'm not eating well. They start even prolonging their fasting so many hours, and sometimes it really backfires because it's a stress to the body, so adrenals start responding, it's sending the cortisol, and cortisol could make you gain weight, right? Also the sugar spikes, the insulin spikes, we actually make our body to make insulin is like pro weight gain. It makes body put the fat into the fat cells, so often the we start really hard like fighting it, and when not done in the with the guidance and the right balance, we actually could backfire. So I would say uh, we have to look at the whole picture, your thyroids, your adrenals, your hormones, and make a balanced approach so we don't actually do the yo-yos, weight gain, weight loss, and actually make it even harder. The studies show the more yo-yos, up and downs we do the dieting, the actually harder it is.
To lose the
Um,
weight?
exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Also, I would say, I'm
So
sorry to interrupt.
I'm sorry, go ahead. What was that? Finish what
I
you were
would say the other one too, that the myth is that they are too young or too old, kind of. Some women are too young to get like on the hormones or on the diet or the medications that we could work, or some other I am too old for this. I think this is another thing, like it kind of hurts when I hear it, because I feel like it's never too young or too old. Always can help you
you know,
feel better.
that is so true, because there's some women that start their period really young, and then there's some that start like, I mean, we all have different bodies, right? And our
Exactly.
all of everything is, everybody's body is different, right? So that's, and the weight thing is, I've heard so many women over the years say, I can't get this weight off. I don't care how hard I try.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so depressing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't fit in the jeans, and you just you don't feel good. You just don't feel very pretty. So how do hormones and metabolism really connect, and why can the same plan really work at 28 but sort of fail at like 42?
Yeah. So really our hormones is like almost like a Wi-Fi, like messengers to our metabolism, to our thyroid, to our adrenal glands. So when we are young and we have optimal levels of the hormones, right? So all body functions just they work properly. It's easier. As we get older, like we spoke earlier, the progesterone goes down, estrogen goes down. It affects how effective is our thyroid, how effective is our adrenal, the overall this metabolic health, and it just gets so much harder just because we don't have the hormones that could help us. So that's why when we replace it, everything gets slightly easier. Like we never put you back to age 20 or something, but still, if we could balance it up, replace some, it gets easier for all other body functions to work properly again to support each other.
Well, and your analogy, I love the metaphor of the Wi-Fi, because we
Yes.
can all identify with that, right? If our Wi-Fi is down, I
Mhm.
mean, our life almost like falls apart. So let's talk about really your approach, and
Mhm.
what is what this looks like when it's working. So now that we kind of really understand what's happening in the body, let's talk about how you actually support women, and how um, this really may make them feel overwhelmed or burned out, because I mean that's how they are feeling, right? Is they're feeling overwhelmed, they're feeling burned out, and how you can really replace that, and make this better for them. So you emphasize root cause care. So what does it mean, like a step by step process,
Mhm.
like for a new patient?
Yeah. So when I meet with a patient, so first we kind of meet and talk, like I hear their story of what are their main symptoms, what are their goals, and based on that conversation, we create a lab panel, comprehensive labs that we can look from their adrenals, like I said, cortisol levels, from their thyroids, the full panel of sex hormones, inflammatory markers, vitamins, make sure they're not deficient in certain nutrients. And then also we talk about, uh, their lifestyle. How how is their sleep? How many hours are they sleeping? What do they do for their exercise? Because as we get older, actually too much cardio workout could backfire at us again, because it just drains our adrenals. Actually doing more like weightlifting, resistance yoga, it's healthier for us. It's healthier for our bones, for adrenal glands, energy, weight. So we talk about that. So diet, exercise, sleep, the big ones, the hydration. Then we go in exposures to the chemicals, which are really important. In today's society, we're exposed to so thousands of chemicals, right? I always make sure to talk like, let's avoid all plastics. I tell my females, you can warm up your lunch in a microwave in a plastic container, and that will make you gain weight, because it has these fake estrogens. If you want to think about it like a key and a whole, they kind of go in and block these receptors of the estrogens, and now your real hormone wants to come do the job, and they can't, because that piece of fake estrogen from, it could be pesticides, herbicides, plastic containers, come and block these receptors, so they're not not able to do the function. So often we talk, do you do something for sweating? Like, do you have at least one bowel movement a day? We often recommend even two, because that's our biggest detox pathway to eliminate them. So we kind of look at this whole picture. And then as well, if somebody says they have history of endometriosis, fibrocystic breast, or something like this, we also test, see how are you eliminating estrogens out of your body. And we have safer pathways, we have more dangerous pathways, and how can we support you to shift it, so to one, prevent developing something like a cancer later on, or how can we support you the fibroids so we do not develop them, and maybe even needing hysterectomy or something. So definitely looking at the full picture, seeing is there anything in their lifestyle that could be also causing a lot of these symptoms. Because really, especially if we don't test, we really don't know. The same thing as weight gain, it could be your thyroid, it could be your cortisol, it could be high estrogen or low progesterone, like for different symptoms, right? So if we don't test, we don't know.
Yeah, I love that, because you don't know, right? And then you're just guessing. So how do you really personalize the care without overwhelming women? So so there's just too many changes at once.
Yeah. So, we are all different and it's all great. I have some women that they want to do it all. We kind of talk, we talk, like I said, for a few hours, and we say, I give them recommendations. I think for adrenals, we can do this. For your thyroid, we can do this. For your hormones, this. And some women want to do it all, and some kind of more conservative. They want to do one hormone at a time, or like one group of function at a time, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong. For some women, we just start with a detox as well, to get ready the body, because if we're like more toxic, any hormone, if we put in the body, it's not going to work as well, so to say.
So you're
So
really
we just
personalizing. You're personalizing the plan based on
exactly
each woman anyway, and then they have a lot of input. So you're not just saying you need to go, you do this, 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 and this. You're listening to what they're saying,
exactly.
their lifestyle, and letting them sort of work with you to dictate the plan to improvement.
Exactly. And in our clinic, we meet, if we need, I meet at first every week. Some we meet every month. So I meet where we, where they need me, to not overwhelm. Like, they already overwhelmed and they're stressed. So for me to add multiple creams and injections or something, that would not just help.
Got it.
And I don't want to
No,
be a burden.
yeah, no, you're really being a health partner is really what you're doing. So how do you think, what's your perspective really like on supplements and how to take them responsibly, and
Mhm.
what's helpful versus what is really hype?
Um, I personally do support supplements. I kind of joke sometimes. I'm from Lithuania and on the farms, and I kind of grew up on the home raised food. And often, if you go to the grocery stores here, which we should get most of our vitamins and nutrients from food, I totally believe that. But the foods are grown so far away. You smell them, they have no smell, they have no flavor, no taste. So I just don't think we get enough nutrients from diet these days. Also, a lot of times we're busy, we grab something here, they're not necessarily putting this big nutritious meals, just our lifestyles. We're just busy, correct? So I do believe in supporting us with the vitamins, because a lot of times, as we spoke about thyroid, if we're deficient zinc, selenium as the big one, iodine, the body just cannot produce the hormones. So the function is not happening. So I think in this day, unfortunately, unless somebody's really able to prepare these healthy meats and eat these uh, wild salmon and salads every day, even then, trying like organic, if we could get these nutrition. So some support, I believe it's necessary.
Good. Yeah. Um, that's fantastic, because we should get a lot of our nutrients from our
Mhm.
food, but we know that half the time you don't even know what you're eating. and
Yes.
and you're
Yes.
right. It's so inconsistent based on your lifestyle, and
Hmm.
are you running to the game with the kids? Are you taking care of the husband? We often, so women, we have a tendency to be the last one that is taking care of ourselves, right? We're taking
Exactly.
care of
Yes.
everybody else. So Kristina, what does progress look like beyond the scale? Let's be real. I mean, most women, I gotta
Mhm.
believe, we talked about this in the beginning. One of the biggest things is, or the concern is weight, can't get it off, don't look like themselves
Mhm.
anymore, don't feel very sexy anymore, right? And
Mhm.
so, so beyond the number on the scale,
Mhm.
again, what does progress really look like?
Mhm. I always encourage my clients first to not even have a scale goal. Because at first we lose weight, the closer we get to the goal number, if we have a number, the harder it is. And often, if we have the number in mind and we cannot reach it, we start feeling as a failure. I cannot reach it. And then we give up and we start going even backwards. I do not usually actually discourage to have a number on the scale as a goal. I'm like, okay, what would be your goal to feel good? Is it to sleep? Is it getting into the car without a struggle? Is it to sitting in an airplane is your goal? Is it to be have enough energy to lift your children or grandchildren? Or like you said, getting in the jeans, or like dropping maybe a few sizes of the clothes that will make you happy, like what really like energy or lack of the joint pain going away, right? So many of us get in pain with so focusing on what makes gives you this life feel good versus focusing on a specific number on the scale. I usually discourage that.
Yeah, that's really interesting because so many people live by that scale number, and
Mhm.
and like you said, either I'm successful or I'm failing based on a number, and that's uh,
Mhm.
really, again, pretty unrealistic a lot of times, and everybody
Mhm.
has different goals. So what's a realistic time frame from, like, what improves really first and what takes longer?
Mhm. I would say with the hormone replacement, definitely the sleep would. I feel like this is the big symptom we see first, but also when we replace it, that's what women start saying. Yes, I start to take progesterone and I could just sleep so much better.
Yeah.
Uh, the sleep, the anxiety, the moods. Women are just not so depressed. They are not so anxious. They just feel more calm, at ease. I would say the hardest, the longest one is probably is metabolic and the weight, because it just takes time for that insulin resistance to improve. It takes time, and we usually do retest the labs every 3 months, at least at first, and we kind of look at the levels. Do we need to adjust certain, from nutrients, from the hormone levels to kind of support you? So we never just start and leave it.
Got it. Yeah. So this really is more of a, this is a lifestyle, right? I mean,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So as we kind of move on here a little bit about bioidentical hormone replacement. So I want to just share real quickly with our listeners that this
Mhm.
portion is general education,
Mhm.
and it is for educational purposes only and not personal medical advice. So as I go through these questions with Kristina, realize that this really is educational, and you'll be able to reach out and find out more if this applies to you personally. But Kristina, when people hear bioidentical hormone replacement treatment or therapy, what does that really mean in simple terms?
Okay. So bioidentical hormones, so it's a hormone that has exactly the same molecular structure as our hormones, correct? So like estradiol, progesterone. So let's take progesterone, right? It has the formula and it's bioidentical. That means it's exactly the same as our in our body. Let's think of progestin. It's often we, especially in the studies, and people get mixed up progestin and progesterone. but the structure molecular is slightly different, right? It has a different part in it, and the function becomes very different. So progesterone, for example, is pro-birth. That's what helps us more fertile to have the baby. Yet if we tweak the formula, we make into progestin, we turn into a birth control pill, or even after date pill,
Okay.
right? So it could be, it has a very different function than bioidentical. So bioidentical really means it has exactly the same structure, it has exactly the same function that your body natural, like your ovaries, your adrenal glands that produce the hormone. And yeah, so basically get the same function. Mhm.
Wow. Okay. So, who tends to be a good candidate for bioidentical hormones, and who might need a different approach first?
I would say majority of women are a candidate, especially if you are, healthy, you're already eating healthy diets and exercise, and you just want to have that extra layer of support. But really, anybody, we all go through the perimenopause, menopause, no exceptions. And I believe we all deserve that support. I would say maybe the only time I would be more cautious if somebody has dealing with breast cancer currently, or have like undiagnosed some like uterine bleeding, or some like advanced liver disease, like advanced the heart disease. But really with the almost everyone would benefit from it and would be a candidate. Of course, like we always look at the person in front of me, right? If somebody has some comorbidities, maybe we would start very slow, the smallest doses, and then go slow and adjust every so many months, kind of really personalize it. But I would say very few who would really like battling cancer and bleeding something advanced disease, then maybe would look for different options to support.
Great. That's fantastic. And then, what do you really hear? What are misconceptions or fears that you hear people have around hormone therapy?
Mhm. I would say, and that was the big one, the health initiative study that they did years ago. And unfortunately, a lot of women missed out on the hormones, that hormones cause cancer. And fortunately, now even the FDA is, probably a lot of females heard, are removing the black box warnings that hormones cause breast cancer. We really feel like a lot of studies show that it's actually protective from the brains and the bones and the heart and the cancers. Um, so I would say that is, hopefully with the FDA removing it, a lot of women will be more at ease, at least trying and searching it. There is even a lot of studies coming out for women who have BRCA positives or who had breast cancers. One of our, so I did my training at BHRT Training Academy, and one of our um, uh, the mentors, Dr. Bergson, she's a breast cancer survivor and been on hormones many years, and she follows a lot of studies on that. So it's just really exciting where the hormone field is moving. So we don't have to let the women suffer through hot flashes and night sweats, all these symptoms and the anxiety and no sleep just because they had a history. But of course, we're still doing a lot of studies on that. Um, so another misconception too, that hormones can do it all. We hormones are very powerful, but we also have to take a part in this. We have to work on the diet and exercise and the sleep, and how will I manage my stress, right? And kind of how we spoke, as the hormones go down, like that I just need to take it as just part of aging. It's really not that. We can design our future. We don't have to let it just happen to us. We just need to take some actions, maybe get somebody on the team to guide you. Um, yes, I think the one that we spoke a little bit about, this birth control pills, I definitely get multiple people come from OBGYNs that put them on birth control for menopausal symptoms
Yeah.
management, perimenopausal. And as we spoke about bioidentical, they really do not have the same function. They actually suppress our ovulation, suppress our natural hormones. So I would say I would look more for bioidentical hormones, not birth control pills to support the symptoms.
Do you think too that people have a preconceived notion that this is really, really expensive? I'm not going to be able to afford it.
Probably, it is. And then, so we have some options though from the FDA approved that they could get from their pharmacy and that they could use their insurance. We have options for estrogen, we have options for progesterone. So it doesn't have to be extremely expensive.
Yeah, that's great. So generally speaking, like
Mhm.
how does safe monitoring and follow-up look like when someone starts this therapy?
Mhm. So, as I said, like especially I cannot speak for everybody, but in my clinic, we always test first. We have the baseline. I do meet with my patients at least once a month, or if needed, personalized again, depending how many things we're treating, a couple weeks. So, but every month we retest in 3 months, and then if we feeling good, the levels are good, maybe in 6 months, or at least twice a year to monitor the levels. um, I would say also the levels. Sometimes I notice some clinics, I get some patients come that they don't even really test it. I do not support it. I think we should monitor the levels, and there is different thoughts like, do we just give you something just to manage your hot flashes, so to say, or do we optimize? I always look for like, can we optimize your levels, not to put you where you were in your 20s maybe, but still optimal levels, so your how we call end organs like your brain, your heart, your bones are getting the benefits. We're not just like, oh, I don't have hot flashes, and that's where we stop. And of
Gotcha.
course, listening to symptoms, right? Listening to person. Labs is just to guide us. How is the woman responding is really what guides the treatment.
Yeah. So, um, so let's say that you have a patient that they start the therapy and they don't feel really great. What are common seems reasons that that can really happen?
I would say first, if we totally ignore also from their stress, the adrenal glands, if we don't watch and support that, as well as if I keep coming back with the bowel movement, but it's just so important, right? Like, are we eliminating? Are we toxic? Are we not eating enough nutrients? Because there's so many different levels where hormones uh, work in the body, not to overwhelm, but it's a production, it's the transportation, is it receptors? And that's why when we test and we support, because maybe let's say the ovaries are still making the hormone, or where you replace it and give it to you. But if your receptors are blocked or you're toxic inside the body with pesticides, herbicides, plastics, the function is just not gonna we will not just get the results that we would like to. So kind of looking at the whole person again to make it feel better. And then again, everything is personalized. We're adjusting the dose. Some need a higher dose, some little lower dose, you know.
Sure. Got it. So, what would a woman, should a woman ask a provider before any hormone protocol is started?
Mhm.
Or what would you
um,
want a woman to ask?
yeah. I think the first one is of course would be like, what do they think a good candidate is? Because so many women get refused the care because again they're like, oh, you're too young, it's just your stress, and they get ignored, right? Or, oh, you're too old, you missed your window, so we would not give you the hormones, right? And there's more and more studies showing that even at the older age, maybe we don't have as much benefits as if we started at a younger age, but women still get the benefits, right? Their still brain is much sharper and they can do the bingo games or something like this better, right? So first of all, like what who are the candidate? Who are they seeing? The same thing with the monitoring. Are they just kind of this quick online? Not to say anything bad, but sometimes just 5 minute visit. Here's your patch. Here's your hormone, and here you go without follow up, without monitoring, without really looking at the labs. I even met multiple women. They say they don't look at my labs. They just gave it to me. and here we go. I don't support that. I do believe in numbers. So how they evaluate, how they follow up, who they treat, and what's like also the plan if they don't feel better. Do they, in my practice, we definitely incorporate some more like functional, like overall being. So what would be their plan?
Right. Okay. So, without really sharing private details, what are the most common transformations you really see in women? And this is beyond obviously the numbers, right?
Hmm. Um, I would say the biggest ones is the relationships, just mm, I think the biggest one, the transformation, it would be just the relief of the symptoms from these hot flashes, the the lack of sleep, the anxiety, the depression. I have some women say, if I cannot get fixed, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my husband, my marriage. So when we get the woman back into the balance again, not to share the details, just getting the life back into normal, the functioning and being able to show up for themselves and for their loved ones.
Yeah. So, what's one small win that you see makes really a difference over time?
I would say definitely getting women to sleep is the big one. Unfortunately, right, when we cannot get sleep, everything gets so much harder. And it does affect everything in the body, from our weight, from our adrenals, from our thyroid function, how we show up to the world. I think if we could get women sleep back to sleep and the anxiety, everything else trickle down. They have more energy and they have more willpower to do the diet and the exercise and everything else.
So, if a woman is listening and thinking, "This is me," what should she do this week as like a first step?
I would say definitely I always believe knowledge is power, and I could share one book from the founder of the academy, like a QR code if somebody would like to read it. I would say
Yeah.
get educated. Not like educate, just learn about it. Like be curious. Like what happens to me in my parents? Why I feel this way or that way, and then starting to look for that person who could help them. Tested and started on the therapy. Um, but I would say, first of all, getting to know, reading some books. There are so many amazing books on Amazon that they could get it. Like I said, I can give a link to this. When we understand, then we can take action.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And again, what's the name of the book?
It's the Bioidentical Hormone Revolution. It's the founder of the academy. She really wrote for a woman. She's been really a pioneer of the hormones, like over 30 years, like pushing forward that hormones are not evil, so to say, that they don't give us cancer, they protect us. So she really wrote the book for the women to kind of really understand what to ask, what questions for their providers, what to look for.
That's fantastic. So they have a kind of a starting point. So, Kristina, where can people find you? And what's the next best step if they want your support?
So they can find me. So like you mentioned, I'm in Reno, Nevada. They could just go to my website. I'm redoing it right now, but it's still there. The Pristine Hormones at weight.com. And the best way would be scheduling a 15-minute just complimentary discovery call where we can talk and women could share their symptoms, their struggles, their goals, what they're looking for, and then we can see if we can work together what I can do for them.
That's fantastic. And let me ask you this: do they have to be in? And I don't know the answer at all, but do they have to be in Nevada, or can they call you from other states?
So I am licensed in Nevada, so anywhere in Nevada. I do not have license in the other states.
Got it. But they can call you if they're in Vegas or they're in Pahrump or whatever. They can call you, so you can.
Exactly.
So, okay, great. So, Kristina, thank you so much for this conversation and just really for the work that you do for women who often feel so unseen, so unheard. And when they start looking for answers, like they actually there is a path, and every woman really has the ability to feel beautiful throughout her entire life. This isn't just a segment of life. This is really, you can be on bioidentical hormones throughout your life, is what I've heard you say. And if you're watching or listening and you felt like you've actually, for the first time in a long time, felt like you've been seen today, we'll include the next steps in the description so you can reach out to Kristina when you're ready and get in touch with her. Obviously, she's giving you a great reference with that book. So again, this is the Nancy Kay Coy Show. If you'd like to find me, you can at Finance RX Venture Studio, and that's FIN rxstudio.com. But thank you so much for tuning in, and love these conversations where clarity replaces confusion, and conversations are meant to move us forward. Make it a great day, and thank you again for joining in.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Good luck, everybody.